Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to this episode of One on One with BG. I'm your host, BG, and you know what? Let me get to my chair. Alright, so welcome to this episode of One on One with BG. I'm your host, BG, and today we're going to be going over some Tampa Bay Buccaneers sports. The NFL season is just around the corner, so you know what that means. Football is back. And we love football, and I love Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we're going to go over if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can win the NFC South for a fourth straight year in a row. The short answer, I believe, is yes, but the long answer is yes. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright guys, so over the last 4 years now, well 3 years, over the previous 3 years, Tampa Bay has been at the top of the division. And that was after their Super Bowl win. So we were in second place when we won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. And then the next 3 years after that, we came in first place, taking over the division. 2 of those years with Tom Brady, and then 1 of those years with Baker Mayfield last year. So, does Tampa Bay have what it takes to get 4 NFC South division titles? In a biased opinion, of course, I'm going to say yes. In an unbiased opinion, I think this year it may be a little bit tougher than some fans may think. With the moving around of the NFC South, Kirk Cousins coming to Atlanta, Derek Carr kind of slowly finding his place in New Orleans, and, well, Carolina is just Carolina. They've added some pieces, but I don't think enough pieces to be significant in the conversation. Let's start with the big talk of the town, Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. So Big Kirko, who's been quite a bit of a travel man, a little bit of a travel man in the NFL. He had his run with Washington. He had a great run with Minnesota, making a NFC Championship game, and multiple playoff appearances. I mean, he had one of the best receivers in the league later in his time with Justin Jefferson. And Kirk Cousins is probably is the most liked quarterback as far as just genuine personality, right? He gives off super dad vibes, Cole's cash, all guaranteed money, right? I mean, he doesn't dress fancy, right? He's just a genuine guy. And if you guys watched that series on Netflix, Quarterbacks, I didn't personally watch it, but that gave you a dive into kind of who Kirk Cousins was, who Patrick Mahomes was. They're just genuine guys. And so what's there not to like about Kirk Cousins, right? Everybody remembers the Washington moment, which happened to be against Tampa Bay. You like that, right? Everybody remembers that, right? So again, that comeback win against Tampa Bay, and then obviously the shirtless chains and everything on him, right? So, but if you give him weapons, he can perform, right? And the statistic has always been that Kirk Cousins can't perform underneath the lights, right? So as long as he's got a game at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock, he's fantastic. And so we'll have to see. Now he's going to have Kyle Pitts, he's going to have Drake London, he's got Bijan Robinson to help, on that offense. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons that he's going to be able to turn to. If anything, as a Tampa Bay fan, I would be more concerned about the Atlanta Falcons than I would the New Orleans Saints. Now, on the flip side of that, speaking of the Saints, let's look in New Orleans. New Orleans has always given us trouble. We've always had a problem against New Orleans. All right, Derek Carr, with the arrival of Derek Carr is no slouch, right? He was a great quarterback for the Raiders. I just feel like the ownership never gave him what he really needed, and which a lot of that was an offensive line. Now he moves to New Orleans. He's still got weapons. He's got receivers like Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, who are big threats to the offense, and also you can't forget in the backfield, Alvin Kamara, right? So those are just a few pieces that makes New Orleans kind of stand out. Again, I think as a Tampa Bay fan, I'm more worried about Atlanta, as I said. But New Orleans is no slouch. They're not going to be any slouches this year. They're going to be just as good. They're going to give us a run for our money, just as they always have. So I think between those three teams, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, right? That's going to be the bread and butter of the NFC South. Now, whether or not they do and perform well, that remains to be seen, because obviously last year it wasn't the greatest, and everybody stunk, and somebody had to win the NFC South, right? And not to mention with the Saints as well. They have defensive cornerstones such as Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan, right? Those are big pieces. Cameron Jordan has always been a problem disrupting our offensive line, and our offensive line hasn't been the greatest. It's been okay, held true last year, held pretty steady, but something about Cameron Jordan just knows how to tear up a line. So now Carolina, what is there to look forward to, right? They got the #1 overall pick last year. They took Bryce Young, so Bryce Young's going into a sophomore season. They got previous offensive coordinator from Tampa Bay and Dave Canales, who's going to be coaching the Panthers this year. So does that help? Probably. So there's some insight there. They obviously have Adam Thielen, who's a little bit seasoned. He's a veteran, but they have a lot of young pieces. Carolina is very young, right? I don't want to completely shove them off the map, because divisional play is divisional play, and any game, any given Sunday, something could happen. But I just don't see that they're there yet. And I think that's a biased opinion and both unbiased opinion. I just don't think Carolina is ready to compete for a top spot in the division. Now, they could run probably a third place, honestly, or something, but I don't see them in those top two slots. So now let's look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, obviously, we bring Mike Evans back last year, right? That was a huge win for us. This year, we're bringing Baker Mayfield back to keep that connection going. We have Chris Godwin as our slot receiver, Rashad White as our running back. Bring a lot of pieces in to help with our offensive line. We draft an offensive lineman. If you didn't see our draftees video that I put out about a month ago or so, go back and watch that. And you can see all these pieces that we got. I believe it's Graham Barton that we're going to be placing at center, who played some center in college and did really well. I liked the way that he handled the center position. And we still have Tristan Wirfs that we just signed to a new extension, which was a great addition. And then we have Antoine Winfield on the defense. We still have Levante David, who are cornerstone pieces of that defense. Jamel Dean as well. We have pretty much the same team that we did last year. Right now we get to build on the success that we had last year, right? We had a good push in the playoffs, right? We made it to the divisional round where we ended up playing the Detroit Lions, which we have again this year, week 2, so that'll be an interesting matchup. And again, I put out our schedule release, so if you didn't go watch that and look at where I see us landing, go ahead and go back and watch that. But this year, the NFC South is going to be great, I think. I think we are slated to have a great NFC South. We're not going to have one of those years where 8-9 wins the NFC South or wins the division. I think we'll have a decent season this year, given the conferences that we have to play. I know one of those conferences is the NFC and the AFC West, which are tougher divisions because of teams like San Francisco and Kansas City. But I think we have a pretty good shot this year. So with that being said, guys, again, I think as a Tampa Bay fan, yes, we win the division. As an unbiased, if I'm just looking at it as a regular NFL fan, I still think Tampa Bay has a pretty good shot at winning the division, but it's going to be a lot tougher this year to do it than it was last year. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of One-on-One with BG. Please stay tuned for more episodes. We got episodes of Sexy Time and the Heel Turn coming out. More KFR Sportscast episodes coming out as the season moves along. You can follow us at KFR SPRTS Cast. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Stay up to date on the latest episodes. Thank you guys again. I will talk to you later. Peace out.